Madam Host, you ready?
Yes, sir.
We'll call to order this meeting of the Okeechobee City Council. Today's date is August the 18th, 2020. Time is 5 p.m. This is for our regular meeting and our final budget workshop. I will remind those that are joining us, that may be joining us by Zoom, that if you would like to make a comment, you either use the raise your hand feature or put a comment in chat, and the host will let us know that you would like to make a comment. I will give the invocation this evening, and the pledge will be led by Councilmember Clark. If you're able, please rise. Our Heavenly Father, we come to you with grateful hearts for the blessings that you allow us to enjoy. We're so grateful that we live in this city and in this country, and we pray for our country, especially during this difficult time. We pray for those who have been affected by the COVID virus, and we pray that you would give those healing that have suffered from it. We pray for peace and unity in our country, and on this day, we thank you for the right and privilege we have to vote for the leaders of our community and of our country. As we come together tonight, we pray for your guidance and direction. We know that we have many difficult decisions to make, and we pray for your wisdom and your courage to make those decisions that will be in the best interest of our city. These things we ask in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Clerk. Would you please take attendance?
Mayor Walford.
Here.
Councilman Bradley.
Here.
Councilmember Clark. Here. Councilmember Gerald.
Here.
Councilmember Dean.
Here.
Quorum has been established. Roll call.
Thank you very much, Deputy Clerk. As you all know, our clerk will be leaving us soon. She's involved, of course, in the election procedure, and we know that everything will be done properly. So good luck with that. Do we have any requests for the addition, deferral, or withdrawal of items on today's agenda? Hearing none, do we have a motion to adopt the agenda? So moved. We have a motion by Councilmember Abney, second by Councilmember Gerald to adopt the agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Do we have any public participation cards or public comments? Any Zoom comments, Madam Host?
No, sir.
No comments. We'll go on then to presentations and proclamation. And this is a nice day for us. We have a presentation to us. This is different from public risk management for a couple of items. And I'll, you want me, India, you want to introduce her? Or?
I was gonna, if I may,
Yes.
Shams, may I?
Yeah,
Just for a moment.
please.
Just for a moment.
Please.
So yes, thank you. We're actually welcoming Ms. Bonnie Young. She is the Executive Director with Public Risk Management. That is our property and casualty carrier as well as our group health insurance carrier. I'm actually going to ask the mayor to come down to accept the award on behalf of the city, and I'll just sit in the sideline. And I'm going to let her give you the accolades, and then I'm going to probably add some more things.
Okay.
Ms. Nitz?
Thank you, India, very much. Mayor, Council, it's nice to be here. I was here in September again. I think that some of you came in just to talk about our program. So normally we give out safety awards at our conference in June, but I am very pleased to be able to come here and give you 2 awards tonight. We usually have a total of 4 awards. We have most improved workers' comp. We do it by small entity, medium entity, and large entity. And very happy to present you with one of the awards for most improved safety performance for 2019-2020. And this takes a lot of work, not just by your risk person, but also by every individual, every employee. It's a kind of, you've got to have the training, everybody has to have the mindset to get the claims in on a timely manner. So we're extremely happy to present these, and congratulations. for first this one.
Thank you. You want a picture with both of them or one each? Oh, I guess she wants one each. Okay, so we're gonna take a photo.
Okay.
That's okay. And then we'll take one. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mask on,
Well, I do.
if you want me to put my.
No, ma'am, you're good. You're
Okay.
good.
So what you had was a 50% decrease in claims severity and an 85% decrease in cost.
Wow. That's
I'm
interesting.
just gonna add in, may I, Mayor?
Yes,
I just want to give accolades, not only to our department, I have to, I just can't, because it's not one person and, you know, it's people on the ground. So Melissa Henry, our accounts supervisor, she is the one who received the funds, really is timely. Before that is falls back to the department, making sure they get that information to us as quickly as possible and effectively as possible. So again, the quicker we get attention to either the employee or to the opposing party, this being the workers' comp portion of the employee, the quicker that we can resolve the case and get people back to work, and that's our goal. So I just want to give accolades not only to the mayor for accepting the award, but for the staff and for the department.
Thank you. Yes, thank
It's
you.
important, very important. All right, and then we do have the best overall safety performance. So this is out of all our eligible members who are preferred members, with a decrease in not only workers' comp, but also liability as well. So with your workers' comp decrease, you also had a 45% decrease in your liability claim count and 52% decrease in your liability claim cost. So it's not just your workers' comp, it's all areas, and that includes your auto, any slip, trips, and falls, anything like that. So again, this is the biggest award that we give out every year. Very, very happy to be able to come here and present this to you all.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. Thank you. Could we get the council to come, if y'all mind coming down and we can get a photo with both of
If
them?
you want to put my mask on.
Let's put these. We'll hold it. We'll hold it.
There you have something else.
Okay, that's all I was gonna have. Somebody else hold.
Ladies first, ladies first. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mayor,
I'd rather.
you can stand in front of the podium and
In front of the
then stand
podium. Okay, stand in
You
front of the
can sit
podium.
Everybody.
right in the middle.
Stand right here in front of the
There
podium.
you go.
There we go.
Y'all just come in, there you go. Just come in around.
Councilmember Bureau, you wanna hold this one on this side, and yours on that side?
Monica.
Hold that one on that side.
There we go.
All right, here we go.
Okay, ready? Thank you.
Got it?
Good.
Thank you very much.
much.
Good
Uh,
job.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Very good job by all. Over there.
Please put them right here. Is that okay? Yeah, don't break it back.
Thank you.
Bonnie, before you leave, I think we need to tell everybody that you will be retiring when?
In April,
In April.
after 15 years, after working with everybody, I know I've been working with the city since 1999. And actually, your city has been so involved in India and both of our pools that she has been selected as one of the 4 individuals to be on the interview committee to select my replacement.
Wow. Well, thank you. We wish you the best. And she said she's gonna do a lot of fishing now, so, if you find out where they're biting, you might as well not let me know because I can be right next to you and I won't catch anything, so.
I'll take pictures and post them on Facebook.
There you go. Well, congratulations on your retirement and thank you very much for the awards. We
Thank
appreciate
you,
it very
thank
much.
you,
Thank
good
you,
job.
thank you for driving over.
You're very welcome.
Okay, we'll move on then to the consent agenda. Does anyone have anything they'd like to remove from the consent agenda? If not, can we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Gerald, I believe it was, a second by Councilmember Keith. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. We'll move on to new business. The first item under new business, item A, we need to declare 3 2019 Dodge Chargers as surplus items and approve disposal by way of sale to the city of Sebring. That's exhibit 1 in your packet. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion.
Have a motion by Councilmember Clark. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Abney. We'll go to discussion. Any discussion, Administrator or Chief? Anybody have anything to say, or you have any questions? I think this is our standard thing, so I know we have a little issue with getting cars this year, but we're gonna sell these first. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. We'll go on to item B under new business, approval lien reduction agreement with Spirit CV Okeechobee, Florida LLC, which is CVS Pharmacy. That's exhibit 2 in your packet. Do we have a motion? Have a motion by Councilmember Gerald. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Keith. Okay, we'll go to discussion. Let me get to my exhibits. Okay, who's going to take this discussion? Chief? Okay.
This is an existing lien we've had against CVS for years and years. We've made no headway on it, haven't exactly been jumping out to, pay the lien. So we finally had a conversation with their attorney, and our attorneys had a conversation. They wanted to settle the lien, and they wanted to sell it for a low amount. We came back and said, listen, because you exactly haven't been, normally we reduce some of these liens down to 10%, but that's assuming that the people have been following, helping along and trying to settle, trying to come into compliance. They are in compliance, so we settled on a 50% lien reduction, which amounts to $12,000 and some dollars.
$12,275.
Yes, sir. And that goes directly into the city revenues. And code enforcement's recommendation would be for the council to accept that lien reduction.
Attorney, you have anything to add, or does anyone have anything to add?
Other than this was presented to the magistrate, reviewed and approved. I've spoken to their attorney this afternoon. They're supportive. They have no comments.
Okay. Any questions from the council? We have a motion and a second, so if there's no other questions, we'll go on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Mayor, just a point of interest, we also have a similar lien with Walgreens. They're also in compliance, have been. So now that the council has accepted this lien reduction out of a sense of fair play, we're going to contact their attorney and make them a similar offer and see if we can settle that lien, which will put another $5,000–6,000 back in the city revenue. None of this means that they're immune from further, abiding by existing codes. So they still have to do that. So we plan to do that tomorrow, probably.
Thank you, Chief. We'll move on to the next item under new business, item C, approve contract for services with BIS Digital for Communications Media Technology, Exhibit 3 in your packet. You also have a memo from the city clerk on, how we need to classify or how we need to do this motion. But do we have a motion to approve contract with BIS Digital Services as an emergency purchase and waive the formal bidding procedures to ensure compatibility with the existing digital recording and sound system? Do we have a motion? So, motion by Councilmember Keith. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Clark. We'll go on to discussion. Who wants to lead this discussion?
With the BIS system, it's just going to be an extension. We've had such an issue from the start to finish now. We've gone through and reviewed this item. This will get us back up to not only to start doing our sound improvements, but also video upcoming as well. This will be an item we submit to the county under CARES Act funding under COVID as well. And I'll kind of briefly touch on it. It's also removed from the capital expenditures in the budget that we're going to talk about later. So again, this is something we feel we need to move forward. It will resolve the sound issue that we're currently having. The only concern we have is there's what, a 12-week backlog before they can come here. So approving it tonight, we'll still have about 12 weeks that we're gonna have to continue working with the system we have now. We will endeavor to push them as fast as we can to, get them here sooner. We are not the only city in this situation. So.
And just for the record, is this correct, the amount is $17,731.50. Okay,
Yes.
Councilmember Keith, you have a question?
No, I was counting.
Oh, you were counting, oh.
How many months is that?
That's 34. I saw your finger go up.
At first they were saying 6 to 8 weeks, but the number, what they're doing is as soon as they get the PO, they're dating it, they're logging it, and they're having to just do it
First
all
come, first
across.
served.
Yes, exactly, first come, first served. That's the number of cities that are having the same exact issue.
This is
reading this, and I had a couple questions on it. We're talking about we're doing the electrical, and if there's noise in it or whatever, they're not responsible. I didn't understand what that meant, and also I wanted to know what the warranty was. I don't think that the warranty I could read was 90 days on the labor.
Well, I can say that when we have this installation, we will have IT, and we'll have Rick here as well to go through and assist with that. And Public Works, we do have an electrician on staff as well to kind of help go through and do the installation. And Rick will be here to ensure that we have it installed the proper way. I know that we have an annual maintenance agreement that will follow along with that. So every year this will go under that, fall under that annual maintenance agreement.
What is it, maintenance agreement?
It basically covers all our equipment, as long as we're not, dumping water on, I guess, but I mean, as long as it's just normal wear and tear, et cetera. They do the updates, they do the, any troubleshooting, et cetera, and also 24/7 service, yes.
Do repair, so the maintenance agreement would be for any repairs
That would, anything that would be covered under the existing, unless it's something
like
outside.
I say, unless.
Do they suspect there'll be a noise problem with the electrical? I mean, I don't know why that was addressed in the contract.
I would imagine it's a standard thing, that anytime they don't, kind of gives them an out.
They may have had a one-time issue, now they're saying that either, even if one time they run a generator, that could bleed through, maybe. Kind of like alternator in cars, sometimes a year, and overcar, but probably they just had an issue one time, and now they just make sure that they're not responsible for that. That's my thoughts.
Any other discussion or questions?
Councilor Mayor?
Yes.
Assuming that this, system is good for everything we need it for, in future video, I want to make sure we're not kind of where we are today. Kind of my concern.
No, this was an additional expansion. Not only is it just audio to repair what system we have now, you'll see this is true video to go to, not only have outputs, but have inputs through Zoom to assist us as well. We're still working on getting e-scribe to go closed captioning along with this as well. So this is that future step.
I see there's a camera in here.
Yes, sir. This is literally the camera. It's audio and video integration.
Where will this equipment live? Where will it be?
I'll be located.
Oh, we're going to go through and set up here on the roof. The amp and whatnot will still be back in the same location. Again, in the budget, we look for some monitors, and we're actually going to sit down and so with IT and figure out where the monitors would be best. Same thing for camera to put up in the corner. We're assuming to get the best angle counts.
I was just about to say that. Can you make sure the cameras up here are on our left side? You think alike, Mark.
Honestly,
Neither side.
There's a current camera, I was in the budget workshop, what you're basically looking at is the back of the presenter. President.
And that's also one of the things that we are, in the quote is the podium would go to a wireless mic so that it can be moved on anywhere in the room so that because of also multiple boards using the same system, it'll be a lot more user friendly.
Is this a PA system as well, or are we, I know we got speakers.
Yes, they are going to be doing the volumes on the microphones, it's all ran through the software system. the PA actually is. And so, it's the next level up of the PA system, and it'll be a completely different mixer.
What we found out with their software now and with their mixer proprietary, so you can't change adjustments or you can't do gauge or anything, they have to come do that. So they'll set the room up as optimum as they can and then go from there. So that's.
But is that still they have to come and do this, any adjustments in the future also, or will we be able to do that?
Yeah, oh no, they'll have to come do it. That's under that maintenance agreement as well.
And they also go through the laptop.
Okay. Chief Smith. Is Chuck looking for you? Chuck's outside. Is he looking for you? No. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Or discussion? Okay, we'll vote on the motion to approve the contract with BIS with the emergency declaration. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Next item under new business, item D.
I am so sorry.
We've all done that. Item D is to approve, we need a motion to approve contract for services with Tyler Technologies, Inc. for software and its implementation. It's Exhibit 4 in your packet. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion by Councilmember Clark. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Abney. Madam Finance Director, are you taking this discussion or?
I'll be glad to. Do I need to approach the podium?
Please.
I didn't print out my,
Oh, okay.
memo, so we can take my. So yes, the entire contract, I think, was online, and then of course the officials are over here, if it's approved tonight. So we've been looking at software, county software, for well over 2 years, and actively researching it through various entities, as well as conferences and things of that nature. We have had our current system with IMS since 1999. And in fact, I think I saw a check from 1997 was actually issued, so that's pretty far back. We've had the same payroll system with IMS since 2002. So we're really wanting to go forward with our accounting system as well as our building permitting software and our business tax receipt software. Tyler Technologies also has a wonderful online platform where we can allow our contractors to go on and actually ask to schedule their appointments to the building permitting program, pay online for the building permitting, same thing with business tax receipts, initial application can be completed online, submitted, and paid for online. The payroll system and personnel and HR modules are very intricate as far as being able to be user-friendly to the employees and for human resources, and myself as finance director. Our accounting programs, if I back up a little bit, involve a tremendous amount of purchase order mechanisms, approval processes, scanning of invoices, sending that over to the supervisor for approval, and that's sending it to the accounting for us to process. So it's actually taking us pretty much from a DOS program for accounting into the 21st century. So we're really excited about it. We had a demo with the major departments and as well as key personnel and looked at each of those software packages. We're just really excited to go forward with it. We do have a budget of $120,000 this year, and it's the actual quote is for $96,148 plus contingencies, and that could be for travel for them to come and train us. Most likely, however, it's probably going to be remote, but and also incidentals. So traveling $160,570.
Questions or any other before we move on?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Councilmember.
How long will it take for this to be up and running with the online platform?
That's going to be a chore because we're actually going to be migrating all of our data from accounting first into the new accounting software. Same thing with our payroll and then our building permitting, and then our business tax. So until all that data is pulled over, we're probably looking at least a year, if not a little longer, for building permitting.
A year?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
What we're trying to do is pull as much information into the building permitting program, and that's specifically what you asked about, building permitting, into the new software, so that key personnel can have access to that without having to go back. They'll still have access to that information, but we want to have it at the fingertips.
So,
And that's a conversion process.
so the customers, if you will not have online access to permitting and paying online for a year until after all that information is collected.
I know that's not the best scenario, but it is the scenario that we have. When you're talking about conversion, I thought the same thing, to be honest. And Mr. Reshler is here with, I apologize, I did not introduce him with Tyler Technologies. But I was thinking 3 months. I mean, you know, I've never been to a conversion.
I was hoping only to get to 2 fingers.
Oh,
But he didn't laugh at me, but I think he did when I said 3 months. But he did say the conversion process is going to at least be.
yeah, would you like
Mr.
to?
Leshler, would you mind? I'll step aside.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmembers, thanks for your time. I'm going to answer any questions you've got.
If you would please give us your name for the record.
Mike Lesher, Tyler Technologies. I'm based out of St. Augustine, Florida. I've been with Tyler since October of last year, but in the industry and actually as a competitor for Tyler, which gives me great perspective on things, which I'm sure you're going to ask me, for probably close to 10 years. So I know very much about the software, what we're doing here, and also all the competitors really that you would be looking at in this market.
Can you just real quick kind of touch base with municipalities our size, how many you serve, et cetera, because that's one of our.
I mean, I can get a list to you, sir, of every size, from probably all the budgets of 3 million, 4 million general fund up to $500,000 in business, but well over 50 or more. Tyler Encode is the product I represent inside of Tyler, and you're basically our sweet spot is anywhere from 3 to 5 million up to maybe 30 million in general fund. Tyler has a larger group called the Munis Group, which would be like our Miami Beach or Sunrise and things like that, which the Crossers belong to. But well over 50 and more ongoing and been in business over 40 years, doing nothing but municipal software.
Can you explain the year? I mean, I've bought new software and learned it, but I'm curious the year.
The year, it's backlog, and it's also doing the conversion and all that work. So a lot of it is backlog, meaning that we can't get to it. We're so busy and so successful, even as large as we are, we just can't even guarantee.
Okay, so when do you think, so you're saying it's a year till we get the software? Or
A year until you'll be live.
Live.
So you can
When
actually
will we get the software?
The software is probably installed within a couple months, or not even that. And then there's a lot of work that's done in the background, as Rita said, there's a conversion process, it's gathering the data. We work with every type of system, whether it be a DOS, Windows-based, or a mainframe, like an AS400-based, so there's a lot that goes into bringing that data in to the new system, so it's there and readily available when you do go live. And that is critical, especially if there's state requirements to have that data on the system, possibly, things like that. But that, even the last company I work with is apples and oranges compared to what Tyler would take probably 8 to 12 months. And some of our competitors are taking 12 to 16 months, and especially if there's heavy, like, for example, electric utility and a lot of issues there. But on average, it's 12 to 13 months in this industry to go from purchase order to go live.
And our hardware that we have now is enough to do his software?
Good question. So we also have in the current year budget, a citywide server that we're purchasing. That's the server that's actually going to be held at the police department. We've actually just given the PO to ICS Computers to get that taken care of for us. We do have to add what they call SQL language onto that server that we didn't have budgeted, but we have enough funds within this line item to cover that cost. That's about $2,000. So yes, we will have the hardware for that. We made sure that we had on-site Rick calling and making sure I setting the specs, everything with the 2 ITs we're talking.
Can I, if I may ask, think most of us who've been in business and have had systems change, it's usually not pleasant. Almost every time I have heard that, you know, we're upgrading the system. I think that's the buzzword they always use, we're upgrading the system. It's like, there's always something that doesn't work. Do we feel confident that when we go live, we will be ready to go, or is there bugs that have to be worked out? Glitches that
I understand this, Mayor. There's a methodology we follow pretty closely when it comes to that kind of, working through the issues. We'll go through the payroll data, utility data, a lot of the data that we've been bringing it in, make sure it's as clean as we can get. But we'll be doing things like mock payrolls, mock utility billings, a lot of things that we test up front to make sure that before we go live, that not only have we said that it's ready to go, but you've said it's ready to go. And again, I'm not blowing smoke at all. There are issues, there always are. And it's not just upgrading, it's the conversion. And the conversion and upgrade are big difference. We're upgrading our software multiple times a year, if not yearly, every module. There's enhancements coming as you're under support, you're getting those all the time. Those are very easy to implement compared to doing a full conversion like this.
And your staff will be available to work out those glitches.
There's over 500 people assigned just to supporting not only current people that are using the software, but the implementation, well over 500. And they are available in the state of Florida. I think we have over 50 people. We don't have a regional office. Everybody's in their homes doing implementations and other specialties. We have over 50 people that just live in the state of Florida.
Other questions? Councilman?
Yeah,
Okay.
the staff.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We appreciate thank you for coming down too. We appreciate it.
On the memo you gave us, you said you've been working and doing research for a couple of years. How did we decide on this particular company? And because we didn't go out for bid.
We did not.
Right.
I spoke at length with our city administrator regarding the type of service that we were looking for, and we felt that it should be city specific. If we had gone out personally, I'm looking at the city administrator, if we had just gone out and pulled a bid and took the cheapest price, we may not get the product that we're really looking for. I researched had spreadsheets upon spreadsheets of what companies are within the state of Florida and the size of the municipalities and the size of what they offer. Do they offer online programs? Do they offer e-pay? Do they offer personnel costs, HR? Do they offer building permitting? All of that was taken into account. And then we actually had demos, myself and Ms. Henry, multiple demos with those companies online, looking at the product, analyzing it, and trying to determine the best fit. Those are the things we use. Actually, Tyler was. I had two at the end who I was looking at, which is BSNA and Tyler Industries. And the initial quotes that I received from both of those entities, Tyler still outweighed them in cost, even the better product.
So all the issues that we had has been discussed and they're familiar with our setup.
They know exactly the programs that we have, what company we've been with, and they're saying that there will be no problems with the conversion. There's always going to be something. He's not going to blow smoke and say that it's going to be perfect, but there's going to be checks and balances. I'm going to make sure that the data that's put in that we can get out is what is acceptable to us.
So there's no question on finance or your.
No, sir. Actually, one of the items I want to bring up is we did have, like she had mentioned before, all the departments got together and we did kind of a demo on what it would look like and we didn't do the building department when we did HR, accounts receivable, accounts payable, and just going through those menus of how it's going to be done, how we go through the receivable and approval process, the time that those two departments in particular are going to be able to save just in efficiency is going to be huge. The other side of it too is for employees. I know that's something that these guys got excited about, as timesheets will be, they can put them in on their smartphones. So we'll be able to have employees do their timesheets. We'll be able to have everything online and actually be pretty efficient doing that. So that was the whole goal. was to go from this old DOS kind of not supported system to a real system. We have some support.
So if you do it that much, we'll be able to cut half the staff.
We'll have to wait a year.
Don't cut next year.
Yeah.
Other questions? Councilmember Hart?
I just have a comment that, when I saw the bid for, Tyler, I researched, software and, was pretty impressed with the ratings, for Tyler, considered one of the best, in the state for small municipalities. So, I did do that research a little bit, because I would have been the first one to, along with Bob, to say, okay, why didn't we go out to bid, and why didn't we look at this or that, but, anyway. And, I went through, we had 26,000 customers when we had the gas company, went through a conversion, and it took over a year. It was about 14 months, and it was pretty substantial, and I never will do it again, so.
So you guarantee it?
I might guarantee you every people cut.
Okay. Yes, Councilmember Abney.
I see it's got a recurring fee of $20,387. Is that yearly?
It is. We currently pay this past year, we had a contract with IMS, our current software company, $13,000. So we're upgrading from one person's customer service, he's a one-man show, to a national computer company, and it's not doubling the cost. They're gonna be available.
And I will say it's a lot more modules as well. It's not
Yes,
just.
it does.
And that also is every upgrade. That includes the
Absolutely.
upgrade
Thank you.
to
Yes.
the software. I found it really, again, when we upgraded our company, I think it was about $10,000 a year we paid, and but it was the modules and the upgrades and the customer service and all included. I mean, it's a little bit different now that we're in a really small company, but it's right on. I mean, it's part of the industry and how they pay for the modules instead of nickel and diming us every year for those upgrades. Plus, we're getting building and permits online, and that will be, it's so nice. Yeah, the contractor.
And I'm not sure, I haven't spoken with Mr. Lester yet, but I'm hoping to at least have maybe an e-payment module on there, so even if we don't have the permitting online until a year from now, but maybe we can accept payment, so if the building permitting is approved, and the Human Services calls and says, hey, it's, $52, but maybe we could have something that you can log in.
I want her permit for $52.
That was for my shaker side.
Can I add one more thing?
Yes, sir.
And the reason I wanted to bring up and talk about this is because, obviously, because your question, but Tyler has a policy called Evergreen Policy. And what that means is if you're paying for the support, you'll never have to buy another upgrade or enhancement to the module you currently own again. So financially, that's it. If you ended up purchasing a module that we also do like schools and some other things, then obviously you would purchase that. But just to use one example, in the last 45 days, we got a contract with Neptune Beach, just north of where I live in St. Augustine. One of our competitors, they've been in there for a long time, and they received a notice that at the end of this year, that if they didn't replace their HR and payroll system with a new and upgraded version, that all their tax tables and everything probably would not work, and they would give it a bill of between $60,000 to $80,000 just to upgrade that one piece. That would never happen with us.
You guarantee to stay with it till we're online?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There you go, you got a guarantee.
I'm not retiring.
Yes, Councilmember Abney.
Concern, you said we may not be able to pay online? Is that what you said a while ago?
I was suggesting that even if we could not have the scheduling and the building permitting application process online, that possibly we might have just an online pay initially, earlier than going live with the building permitting. In other words, maybe not be able to, and I'll have to check with Mike on this, but if you, right, the building permitting program will allow you to apply online for the permit and pay it online after it's approved.
All said and done, the building department will be live, you can, pay, you can check the status, you can, all that.
And ask for a scheduled appointment.
After all said and done.
Yes,
And you're in here.
yes.
We're trying to see if there's a way that we can do
She's
that.
wanting to
One.
provide
e-payment.
At least e-pay early,
Yeah, I
because we have contractors, especially out of town, that have to make a special trip to pay their permit, because we don't take credit cards and we don't pay them.
Other questions or comments? Okay, thank you. We're ready to vote on the motion to approve the contract of Tyler Technologies, Inc. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much. Welcome, Chuck. Thank you. Chuck's volunteering for something else. How about that? Okay, we'll move on then to the Gary Ritter Council member comments. Councilmember Abney.
That's for, thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Gerald. Councilmember Key. Councilmember Clark.
Thank you.
Wow, this is the first, make this for the record. Okay, we will recess our regular meeting and open our budget workshop. Does anybody want a break before we do that? No break. We'll move right on then. We'll recess the regular meeting. We will now open the budget workshop. So we're opening it up. Madam Finance Director, are you going to take the lead, or? Oh, by the way, you also with your, I hope you were all provided with the new budget figures that the staff was instructed to work on. We also received a letter from the Economic Council of Okeechobee. I think each of you received that at your place tonight. And you can see the suggestions. Would you like this read into the record, Jennifer? Or just have them having a copy of it?
Your preference.
Okay, you each have a copy of that and will be added into the record. So, Madam Finance Director.
Well, Mr. Mayor, if I may, I just want to go back and say, we took heed of what council's direction was. We did go through every budget. I know Indy's going to hit the top parts, but I want to let you know we went through every department, every budget, and we cut as much as we could out of the budgets. And I appreciate all the staff members going through it, all the department heads, everyone going through and being a lot more critical going through it. Indy to touch on it, we're right at about 2% operationally cut out of the budget, and right about 9% cut overall from what we were last year. So that to me was, obviously a lot larger than what our revenue shortfall was of 2.5%. So with that, I do appreciate staff and working with me, and I know that there was a couple of calls that may not have wanted to hear, but I appreciate that. Sorry.
Mayor, Mayor,
Please do.
Mayor, Council, Councilman. I'm just gonna kind of go through hit the highlights of the changes that were made from the presentation from the first workshop. Please stop me if you have questions, or we can regroup and ask them all at the end, whatever you prefer. On page 1 of 31, and if I may preface, looking all the way to the right, from the far right column, going to the left, so the far right does say adjusted. That is the new column that is being added. And what adjusted means is that these amounts are the budget that's presented tonight, and is comparing to what was proposed at workshop number 1, which is the next column in. So if you go left from the adjusted column, the proposed is what was presented at the first workshop. The next column, the third column from the right is the projected estimates, and then the middle column, 2019-2020 mid-year, is the mid-year budget, current budget as it stands right now. Questions on that? As
Everybody
you,
understand that? Okay.
just a quick overview, you will see that we had proposed continuing the millage rate at 7.6018. And the only change in revenue source from budget, from workshop to workshop, we did add in the estimated $20,000 with OCA. We had presented that without the full contract price, we are increasing that revenue to full revenue for the full year. That's the only change in revenue that I presented. Within the total operational budget, you'll see from workshop to workshop, there's a decrease of $231,935, or a net change of $251,000 in change, almost $250,000 in change. So without any other changes to revenue, if you don't mind, we'll just skip to City Council's page, with 5 and 6. And as I had presented during the workshop, I normally budget for the full health insurance for all council members within this budget. I actually use the total people that are actually purchasing the insurance or asking for the insurance coverages. So if that's something were to change during an election year, someone, there was a replacement of a council member, we would make, we had to amend the budget to that. To the right side, you'll see that we struck the CRA study from professional services, contractual services, excuse me. We have provided a reduction from $89.40 to $4,000 for shared services / educational foundation, and are offering a reduction in the local community request from $50,000 to $40,000, which is a $10,000 decrease. And I know our city administrator wants to.
Yeah, I do want to say that that's the reason Megan is here. I don't think it's that Megan's not doing a good job or anything like that, but I want to make sure that she was here so she knew what that was. I did touch base with her before that with the Development Corporation, and I did have the discussion also with Aaron Moore, as well as, if you notice, that went from shared services to educational foundation. There's some other items going on, but we're able to reduce both of those items.
So with that being said, that's a little over 19% decrease from workshop to workshop. Administratively, pages 7 and 8. And I'll just say, as instructed, we've removed any additional increases in base salaries, which are 3 of them throughout the department. So that's been removed with any ancillary costs associated with that. On the right-hand side, operationally, city administrator went through and itemized and looked at where he could cut his budget, even in incremental way. We were trying to narrow those margins down. So again, we have a 3% decrease overall in this budget. And I can go line by line item, but I'm just trying to get an overview, especially if there's small decreases. So those small decreases do mount up, but.
Not to go back, but legislatively, we did continue with charter review. I know we already started that process, and I think it'd be one to focus on next year to start it up then and get it completed. So maybe, focusing on that one, taking CRA, focusing on it, get it done is kind of, you'll see that back through general services, and that way we can get it done and then get it done right.
If you have questions, please speak up. So,
I have a question.
okay, Councilman.
Have we already approved switching to fiber to everybody in the city?
We did that last year under the fiber budget, and we'll be actually under budget when it comes down to it said and done in this year, yes.
Is there any way that we can hold that off till next year? We already have. Right? We already.
We'll have, cables already, or the wires already ordered, the conduit's already done. I don't know if there's
The board's been complete.
more to be complete, that all the infrastructure and the equipment's here. I don't know if there's a way to put that on.
City clerk. That'd be page 9 and 10. Again, looking on page 10, operationally, the clerks reviewed the budget and identified some areas of either pushing off, such as the scanning project, increasing that the years to actually get that completed. That was a $10,000 savings. There's no significant changes and decreases that she had mentioned. Just something to know, we had increased the advertising budget by $1,500, but that's been reduced back down to $18,000. And then because she's suggesting instead of $7,700, that she'll try to work with them with the $4,000 budget. Page 11, legal services. I didn't call our city attorney and ask him if he needed to cut his budget. Actually, our city administrator myself reviewed it and felt that such a minimal amount budgeted in this for whether it be minimal office supplies or operational supplies for the laptop and our licensing for that, I think is sufficient. But if you'd like to cut it and get us back done.
Okay.
Finance, page 12 and 13, operationally on page 13, you'll see a significant change in line item 3400, a $16,000 decrease, and that is working with Tyler Industries so that we can push off our maintenance agreement till next year, so we won't have it this coming year, it'll be next year, so that's included in the fund. So that was the biggest significant change there.
Questions? We'll go on to general services.
I'll kind of touch on this one. There was a huge decrease within the department. Again, we took out the additional, the future land use map, the zoning, the LDRs and comp plan, as long as the EAR. So we literally pulled those projects out and they total quite a bit. So that, we thought the intent was to trim it down and kind of focus on other items. Again, a couple other items throughout the projects, and we also looked at maybe doing the building records room. We're going to have to take a look and maybe do that one in-house instead of taking it out and shave some dollars off of it as well.
So again,
Questions, sir?
I have a question. Do we really think it was gonna be an extra $25,000 for the planner to start reviewing some of the LDRs, comp plan, issues?
Well,
Or just,
well,
that's a professional services, right?
yes, page 15.
let me get there. The issue we had was we were looking at an additional $25,000 for the future land use map. And then split the other two between the comp plan, EAR, and LDRs. There still may be some dollars there with LDR because we're still going to have the planner do workshops with the planning board. So there's still be able to touch on some LDRs, just maybe not as many reviewed as what council would like, but we'll still have some dollars to continue to do planning board. Just again, not the overall look. That was a pretty hefty cut. It was $25,000 was slum, $40,000 was comp plan, and $20,000 was ER. Is what comprises that $85,000. Okay.
Going forward then, on page 16 and 17, which is the police, the biggest change is the indication that we received from council at the last workshop was to implement a $2.50 gas per gallon rate and $3 for diesel. And so with that implementation, there are significant changes in fuel. I will say that within that line, they also have oil changes and things of that nature, so there's $2,000 within that line item also for oil changes.
We did also go
I
through
have
again, that additional code enforcement hours. Part-time we will remove to bring it back to 26 hours average. And again, we discussed that, the one slide, or the one additional.
I have a question on this budget, if you don't mind. We just had a detective, a tenured detective, retire, I'm sorry, chief, you should be here. And, I understand we moved someone up, right, as a, or we moved, well, he's not a detective, he was an SRO officer, right? When he retired? No,
Tom,
no,
he was a detective.
Right. But the new SRO officer came in at a base salary. Wouldn't there be a salary difference between those two people? And also with Teresa retiring, wouldn't there be a major salary difference between those two people that retired and the replacement, that it would affect salaries?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go a little bit further. My question, when we asked about the step, you told me that, the total difference in salary was $54,000. Roughly,
Yes,
is what you
completely.
said, right?
Yes.
So my question is, it can't be just steps in the salaries going up $100,000 at the police department.
Again, 70,000 of that is just the vacation and sick leave pay.
We pay out.
For
Chief and Teresa, you got, there's two
people that will be retiring.
that have been here well over 20 years.
So $70,000 on the leave payouts, significant amount. But to answer your question on Bill Song, our a detective that retired, I'm sorry, I shouldn't mention his name. He's actually, I have a spreadsheet that lists what everybody's step is on. Bill Song's not on that list, so he's not in the equation. I don't have him moving from, I don't know what his salary is, but if he was making 50,000, I don't have him 50,000 moving to, 1.5%. He's gone. He's not on it.
Yeah, but what she's saying is he was probably at a higher salary than the
Right.
replacement.
But
So that's the question.
So my question is, okay, you still take 70,000 out, and this step increase is more than what you told me the whole step increase would be for the whole city.
because the dispatchers moved in here as well.
And their
Five
salaries
employees and their salaries
have moved in
Yeah,
here.
dispatchers from the fire department.
from the fire department. Yes.
Okay, but they weren't in salaries, were they? Was dispatch in
Yes.
salaries?
They were in salaries in the fire department. Now they're in the police
okay.
department.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I'm sorry. Does that make sense? Good.
Yes, I'm
I'm
sorry.
glad. I was getting anxious.
No, I'm just trying to do that.
These are great questions. I want everyone to know what we're, yeah.
Other questions in the fire? I mean, police will go to fire department, okay?
Got off the hook.
I was
Page 18 and 19, again, there weren't any major increases within the fire department's budget from prior years, but, Chief Smith went back and tried to move them, even if it was incrementally. We reduced some line items there.
And fuel.
And fuel, yes, sir.
Questions, fire department? Okay. Public Works.
Public Works. Again, the Public Works Director went back and just really looked line item by line item, looking at their detailed budgets, what they spent out of those line items in prior years, and trying to come up with some cost savings, and that's what you're seeing in front of you.
There was a calculation error that we had for his fuel, so his fuel did go up with the reduction. The same amount of gallons was there, but it was an error in the calculation. I know overall this is probably a smaller percentage, but he had already worked on presenting a lower budget than what it was the previous year as well.
Questions on Public Works?
I have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
No.
My question is the overtime. From actually 2019-20 was $4,000, and we went up to $7,500, $7,600 on overtime.
COVID. We sent guys out to start doing park cleanup, every weekend, making sure they clean the tables, clean the
Just making
playground
sure.
equipment. Yes, ma'am.
So we did increase
We
that
did,
mid-year.
yeah.
But no, good question, but we increased that mid-year, and so we're carrying forward with that because we feel we're gonna still be.
So that is a reimbursable expense for care dollars, right?
Yes, yes.
So how much are we talking about bringing in for the care dollars?
Andy and I put together a spreadsheet, and I actually spoke with Terry Burrow, so we had an idea of what we're gonna do. The letter was due up this week of incurred costs about so far are approximately $70,000. The additional dollars we're looking at between now and December 31st, I said just as a budgetary range, was about $100,000 total. We don't have a huge overtime increase or huge capital projects, but we're in that $70,000 to $100,000 range overall between now and the end of the year. And again, Andy and I are prepping that letter. We'll see the council so we can get it out to go ahead and process those this week.
Okay. Any questions? We'll move on to public facility.
So again, page 23 and 24 kind of go together. I kind of focus on page 24, where it gives the breakdown of what can be spent within each line item. Again, the gray area that says adjusted is what we're presenting tonight. The middle column is as proposed at the first workshop, and the third column on the right is the 2019-2020 current year budget. And then, of course, the far right in parentheses are the decreases of those specific line items. And they're pretty self-explanatory, but we are looking at increasing special services by 5,000, sidewalk repair, ADA ramp installation by 10,000, sign repair replacement, reduction of 10,000, we need 10,000 in there. Stormwater infiltration repair, 10,000. Asphalt and roadway reconstruction from 140,000 to 80,000. New sidewalk program from 15 to 10. Trail changes, expenditure budget, $100,000.
Yes, Councilmember Ray.
Your big jump of 60,000 on asphalt roadway reconstruction, where did you see that? How much was it?
Sir, I didn't get that.
Your 60,000 on 6,300?
No.
Where did you cut 60,000? Why did you feel that you could cut 60,000?
On the year that we're coming up, that if we're trying to really balance what the businesses are seeing, everybody hurting right now, to kind of go along with that, we're looking at maybe just doing one or two. The larger issue with that is we're really wanting to utilize our tax or our grant dollars we have this upcoming year. So the city doesn't look stagnant per se, that we're not doing roads. It's we're going to take full advantage of all the grants we have and get all those done this year. And that way kind of offset what we would have done in-house overall with the grant dollars that we have available to us. So, I mean, again, if the only way that we can cut budget is to cut services. So again, that's what, one of the items we took away is like, what can we cut out? We can still do one or two areas. We can take care of some of the larger areas we have that are pushes and some bad portions of asphalt and just kind of hold tight till next year that, hopefully the revenues turn around.
Yeah.
But aren't these gas tax dollars?
They are.
Yeah.
And it's set aside anyway. It's not really saving us money. We're just not doing the project this year. We can't use it for any other means, right?
We cannot, yes. Transportation dollars have to be used for roadways and median replacement and or maintenance.
Right.
That's what's within this budget. So it's not, it would still have to cut, if we didn't have enough funds within the new revenues, which the new revenues for gas tax dollars are reduced from prior years as well. So,
I thought we didn't use those gas tax dollars last year. This was leftover money that we were using to finally do the roads.
so any rollover monies that if we didn't do a big project are rolled over into the next year, yes.
So how much do we have left over in the road tax dollars from last year?
We used all the asphalt dollars, I know, this year.
We're pretty close, basically concrete, that is out, we utilize. We should have all the asphalt and roadway dollars spent this year.
By the end, we just went out to bid, I believe, right, for the asphalt.
Concrete.
Concrete, which will include, 2 sections of, by Diamond Earth fertilizer and by Gilbert Oil, both of those. Those interiors, instead of just overlaying with 2 more inches of asphalt, so the trucks will tear up within 2 to 3 years. We're going through cutting those bases down and putting in an 8-inch thick slab of concrete, because that's what it takes to do the road right. So you see the asphalt that we've done, 21st Street, 9th. So the remaining dollars in that budget category, as soon as we have the concrete contractor in place, will be, again, the second section by Gilbert Oil, and then the entrance to Diamond R. Those roadways will actually become concrete instead of asphalt, to be able to handle the truckload that's on those roads.
Concrete, no asphalt, solid concrete.
It will be 8 inches of concrete. So the big trucks going in and out of Diamond R, if you've seen that roadway, and if you've seen the roadway on the north side of Gilbert Oil, where their trucks go in and out constantly, that's just, and it's all turn traffic out of there. Those trucks will tear up asphalt within, right, you service that road, within probably 2 or 3 years, it will be going up against, because of the weight going across that and bringing action.
We can't work a deal out with R and Gilbert Oil to.
That was my question. How do we defray some of that cost to the road records?
Unfortunately, it's within our right of way. It may come up when, we do an approval through a currency item. That, hey, if you do this, when it's first approved, but those have both been there. So I can't go back and ask if it's a new project, we could do that. But on the one that's been there, this is us taking care of our right of way. Unfortunately, it's us taking care of our right of way.
I think it would hurt to ask. It's another situation that we have of having a commercial business in a residential area, and the roads are not made to handle the trucks. I mean, I'm not talking Gilbert Oil, but Diamond R.
And on the currency side of it, with this coming like this year with those, we have another project that's the same area that may require the same items, but again, we're catching up on the first side, not the latter side. It's our right way to maintain, not those others.
I mean, they may have a suggestion that works out better for those trucks than what we're suggesting. I don't know.
I know David and I both been in contact with both the businesses, and that's, we typically see on the turnaround.
And they do pay, a considerable amount of dollars into fuel tax in those trucks. They do pay.
Okay, other questions here? Okay. Capital.
I'm gonna have to do page 26 and 27, and as noted, on page 26, far column on the right, there was a huge error in the beginning fund balance. It was pulling, my formula was pulling from the prior column at the end. I apologize. I did everyone on the facing page, and the items that are provided to the public are on page 27. Again, you'll see if there's any changes. I've tried to make a note, strike out any items specifically that were deleted, and then of course, if there were any amendments other than zeroed out, those changes are on the right-hand side. So we are removing the BIS audio video equipment. We're looking to purchase that, or encumber it this year, and then request CARE dollars for reimbursement for those. The council chamber chairs are instructed to remove those as well. The next category, no changes under fire. We did change the motor gear from 6 to 4 sets. Furniture, slight change, and then removal of the thermal imager. But then the tree program, yes.
I'll go through these. The tree program we did reduce. We left dollars in there to be able to do replacements. Along with Centennial Park, we did remove some of the solar lights and the benches, tables, et cetera. Since we're kind of hitting that one hard this year over what we had budgeted, kind of combined prior 2 years this year. Just go through, do some minor landscaping improvements kind of around the new buildings now. And then until we again, see what we can do revenues. Media replacements in the right of ways further down, we still left dollars in there, 4,000. We do have a contractual requirement with that with FDOT, so I'm kind of hesitant dropping that any further. And I thought it was important for our commerce center to keep the street lights that we're trying to put out there, to kind of attract more businesses to have a little bit more lights out there for a little bit safety and security. So we did leave those in there with the hope that that allows that to be a little bit more sellable, more attractive to someone going out there to start a business.
Okay. Questions on capital projects?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
The BIS audio video equipment, that's because we did it this year?
Yes, we did it this year, so we're going to take that and use the dollars, so we were able to pull it out of this budget, yes.
And we'll probably do an adjustment to the budget in a year to include that amount, encumber it, and then show that revenue source coming in. Who cares?
For fire, I see we go from 6 to 4 bunker chief, is that acceptable? And is that, do you need 6?
Well,
You need?
well, currently, they still have budgets now for this year. The discussion I had is they're going to come to council probably the next meeting or the one after to fulfill the 6 now for the current year's budget, not for next year's budget.
Basically, we have a 10-year life on the bunker year. We have to have a second set for each firefighter.
Right.
In case one goes down or it is, has biohazard on it or whatever, they have to have a second set. But it can't be over 10 years. What we do is we try to, about every 5 years, we do they have a new set. They use as primary, and then the older set up to 10 years, usually between 5 and 10 year mark. That's what they use for their backup gear. We have a few people that are close to the 10 year, but we can make it with the 4 sets this year, bar any that we don't lose a whole set. That's all. If we do, we just got to do an ask to replace it.
Okay. We'll make sure.
So we're doing 6 sets this year and then 4 sets next year. So we're missing 2 sets.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes. We did that, you wanted cuts, so that was part of the cuts on what we were trying to contribute, so.
Under public works, continuing park extension tables, concrete work. Don't we already have them purchased?
Oh, they actually purchased and installed.
So everything that we bought has been installed.
The tables for the new pavilion arrived today. Of course, there's not, the pavilion is being constructed. So yes, everything that is in this year's budget for Cynthia Park has been purchased. Like I said, the cables actually arrived today. And of course, as soon as the pavilion is there, they will be installed. These were proposed, I wanted to put some benches around the perimeter. You know, that nice walkway if somebody wants to sit down. Those were new for next year. An additional table identified a good place for that. And so what was proposed are enhancements in addition to what we have. But everything we purchased this year, like I said, the tables, the 6 tables for the pavilion arrived on the route today. We previously had the barbecues. So as soon as those pavilions are up, those tables are ready to go in.
And I'm gonna make sure everything that we have already purchased, we have dollar left to install. I want to just.
Oh, yeah, that would be under this year's budget.
Yeah, installing tables on, we will do that in-house.
Okay, other questions there? Yeah.
Are you asking for less or you?
No, I think less is good.
I think I'm good.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I have a question about 2 things. One is the commercial Park Street lights. Are we working with FPL for those lights?
Yes, and that's actually that's actually the quote we got per light out of the Commerce Center.
$2,500 a light?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then we pay a monthly fee. Is that how it works on the light one?
It'll be fairly minor with those 4s or LED, but yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the other question I have is, I noticed that you're cutting out the tree program, but are we still going out for the architect in this year's budget for the Flagler Park?
I just redlined the RFQ that David had given me. back to David so we can get it updated and sent to the attorney for review. My goal is to send out RFQ to go ahead and process that. That is unchanged. However, when we award or when we rate the highest landscape architect, task him with the work order, I'll bring that work order back. So either be, by that time, it would be a work order for this year that council can approve or not approve, or to be a budget amendment for next year to approve or disapprove. So I'll bring it, as soon as we get that first work order, I'll
But we
bring it
have the
back.
money in this year's budget for that, right?
We do, again, but the council's push to kind of have more of a roll forward, between that and the budget landscape, we have not used the $65,000. So I still want to have a landscape architect there. We can negotiate either be part of it full. I mean, that will come back to council on their, on your guys' approval on what you want, or what kind of budgetary item we want to put forward. And if it's after October 1, it will be a budget amendment added to this budget. So either roll forward, we don't use the dollars this year, we roll it forward next year, or we get it and we push it into this year's budget, but we have less dollars to bring forward next year. Either way. I said last meeting, before you instructed us on doing the cuts, to do RFQ, we knew we had some dollars there to go ahead and go forward. However, with, kind of the comments we've gotten that, look at our dollars, what we're trying to push forward and whatnot, $65,000 is not something I could ignore either.
So you cut the red line, the whole 65,000?
I did not redline, I just said that I want to get RFQ, we're still going to go forward on that, that doesn't cost us anything, to still select the landscape architect. It's just that first work order, what we're going to include in that first work order, I'll have to sit down and discuss.
Okay, so we left 2,500 in for the tree program. Why do we leave 2,500 in?
That was to do a replacement tree, just in case, a replacement tree.
In the park, by the park?
Yes, ma'am. That's typically what, that one kind of goes any direction, we can put a tiger parts, a titty part, et cetera, but that way it's replacement.
Any other questions?
Mayor and City Council, the rest of the budget and other are grant items, and they were unchanged. And so therefore, there's not an adjusted column of those items. Everything else is 29, 30, and 31. That is my presentation.
You have any other questions from India before we sit down? No, thank you, India, very much. Thank you for the good administrator and the part of this. Okay, it's up here for discussion. Council, any discussion or? Satisfied with the changes that were made?
I just want to thank staff for them for going back and looking and seeing where they could cut. I don't know anything. Without the ones that each department, I don't see anything right, cut.
Other comments? This will be the budget that will be presented at our first budget workshop. So the public will have opportunity to comment on that.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just one item. When we present this back for the first hearing, what will be proposed is what we call now adjusted. I just want council to know we will no longer have the proposed and adjusted the other column. It will be the proposed.
Okay, any other discussions before we adjourn the workshop and reconvene the regular session? Hearing none, we will adjourn the workshop and we will reconvene the regular session. So we will ask if there are any comments that we need to make after we have discussed the budget. Megan, I know you came to see us. Were you just here just to listen? Or?
Listen and answer any questions if anybody has it.
Thank you for your working with us on that budget. We appreciate that. And as the administrator said, we certainly appreciate your work and absolutely no reflection on that. It's just a matter of money.
We're all trying to live through this COVID-19 reduction in budget, and hopefully the CARES Act dollars will go out into the communities to help those businesses that were
And I appreciate your work on that. That was a good program. I'd just like to see some checks going out. Hopefully they'll go out soon. So, thank you.
All the people that called me. That's the
Where's my check? Yeah. Where's the money? Show me the money. Okay, any other comments or questions from the council?
Questions?
Yes.
Since it was brought up, the landscape architect RFQ, that will be completed and published now, or what's your timeline for that to be published?
There wasn't a lot of, there was a lot of things removed from the RFQ to make it a little bit simpler to get done. So I'll put as soon as we send it over to the attorney, which they've been, couple weeks, and then we can advertise it. I mean, I don't see it being any hiccup. It's pretty straightforward.
How long will that be advertised for?
21 days or 14 days? Yeah, 21 days. 21 days.
So less than a month.
One finger. One finger work.
Thank you.
Okay, that was the final item. Yep,
Just a couple things. You said a while ago that there's not gonna be a parade Labor Day.
I'm meeting with Angie. I will get an answer back tomorrow. It's been back and forth in the time we've had this meeting.
It's going back and forth.
It's back and forth the time we've had the meeting.
And one other question, Bobby, do you know how many applications we have for,
Currently, there's 7.
there's 7?
Yes, sir.
So the charter review committee,
And
is
yes,
that what the question was gonna be, the charter review committee?
So tomorrow's the deadline.
Tomorrow's the deadline,
Yes, sir.
so we need one more, folks. Or then I have to put it off for another.
Okay.
Can we extend that, I'm sorry. Can we extend that deadline since we don't have enough applications? That's the question.
I don't see one on, so we're not ready.
We can't make that decision, can we, because of,
I know it came out for the deadline on applications for the charter to submit to you.
or selling without it.
That too. On the agenda. And it
I mean,
wasn't brought up, but well,
it's
I
not
guess
good
it,
practice, but is it gonna be unlawful? It's your committee, you can set the.
Well, we don't have enough members, so it doesn't apply, so that's the only reason.
I have to, I'm collecting for you tomorrow.
let's see what happens, okay, let's see what happens tomorrow, but if it's not, our next meeting, we'll extend it then. Is that okay? All right, final item, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody, great meeting.